Nityanandam, let's go ahead with part 11, reading the Bhagavad Gita, decoded by the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism, Jagadguru Mahasannidhanam, His Divine Holiness Sri Nityananda Paramashivam. Let's start with the Satguru Vandanam. Let's connect with Swamiji through the Ananda Ganda, and let's have the head, neck, and spine in a straight line, the hands to the Anjali Mudra. Nityanandam Paramasukadam Kevalam Jnanamurtim Dvandvatitam Gaganasatasham Tattvamasyadilaksham Ekam Nityam Vimalamachalam Sarvadi Sakshibhutam Bhavatitam Trigunarahitam Satgurum Tannamami. Om Nityananda Paramashivoham. Yes, let's go ahead with the next part. Sorry, just had to find the proper page. So let's go ahead with chapter 1, Intelligence Questions. 1.23. Let me see these well-wishers in this war of the evil-minded Duryodhana, who have come together here to fight. 1.24. Sanjaya said, O descendant of Bharata, being thus addressed by Gudakesha, Arjuna, Rikesha, Krishna, then drew up the fine chariot in the midst of both armies. Arjuna starts out on a challenging note. He says he would like to see all those who had assembled to fight him in support of the evil-minded Duryodhana. Accordingly, Krishna drew up the chariot between the two armies so that Arjuna could have a good look at all those who had gathered. Arjuna is being called Gudakesha. In this verse, Gudakeshana Bharata, the one who has transcended sleep or the need to sleep. Sleep here also refers to the unconscious mind, the incomplete inner space. Please listen. Sleep is nothing but the rest we need to give to our tired inner chatter. Sleep is related to the incompletions of the mind. All our incompletions that drive our actions reside in our unconscious space as root thought patterns. Only thing we need to go beyond sleep is a complete inner space. Integrity brings deep sleep to us, makes us conquer tiredness, and ultimately conquer sleep. Arjuna's integrity, the power of words. Let me define integrity. The first spiritual principle, integrity, is the key which unlocks the power of words of Vakshakti. Integrity is you fulfilling the word or thought you give to yourself and to others and experiencing a state of completion, purnatva, with yourself and with life. Integrity has two dimensions, honoring the words who you give to yourself and honoring the words you give to others. Integrity means not just fulfilling, but honoring the word you give to you and others as your very life is integrity. Listen, honoring the word you give to you, that is the key point. Who's the first person to hear the words you utter? You. When you honor the words you give to yourself, your confidence in yourself grows and your self-doubt melts away. you become powerful. When you honor the words you give to others, others' confidence in you grows. Your relationship with that person becomes powerful. The words you utter are you. You become the words you speak to yourself and others. If you go on saying, I am sick, you simply will become sick. In the same way, if you constantly tell yourself, I am healthy, your energy will wake up. You will be very healthy. Cosmic energy awakens in your system and makes your declarations a reality. It is important to choose the right words because you can create your reality with the power of your words. A small story about the power of words, Vakshakti. Once a small town was visited by a saint. As the saint passed by a small hut, a woman came to him and begged him to pray for her dying child. Since the saint was new to the town, a crowd gathered around him, curious to see if he could do anything. The woman brought a sick child out to him, and he said a prayer over her. Do you really think your prayer will help the child when even medicine has failed? After all, they are just some words, yelled a man from the crowd. The saint turned and started shouting at the man, You idiot, you don't know what I'm doing. Just shut up. The man was furious. His face grew red and hot. How dare you insult me? He shouted at the saint. The saint smiled at him calmly and said, If one word has the power to make you so angry, may not other word have the power to heal this child? That is the power of words. Listen, every thought we complete is the word we give to us. We have to honor it. The first step of integrity is completing all the negative words we created within us, about us, and life, and completing all of them. With integrity, our inner chatter disappears. It never becomes tired. By bringing integrity to his thinking and words, Arjuna had conquered his tiredness, his boredom, his powerlessness, and conflict. When we have integrity and authenticity, when we give our life to fulfill our words, cosmos intervenes to fulfill our words and makes them into reality. Arjuna is being referred to here as one who has conquered sleep as a result of tirelessly doing Purnatva, completion, with all the negative words he carried. Because of Arjuna's integrity, the power of words, or Vakshakti, became available to him. To fulfill the words of Arjuna, Sri Krishna, the cosmos himself, becomes his charioteer, leading him to his total surrender to divine. Krishna has been called Rikesha, one who controls the senses from his powerful space of completion. A person who does not have even one moment of powerlessness or incompletion in his life is an enlightened being. A person who never had any patterns, any incompletions in his life, right from his birth, is an incarnation. Physically, mentally, and spiritually, Sri Krishna is the space of eternal completion. His senses are complete as he knows what he experienced through them is not the source of happiness. The relationship between Krishna and Arjuna is the highest form of interaction between the divine and the human. You see, for one who is caught in the sleep of unconscious patterns, this world of illusion, Maya, appears utterly real. But the enlightened master has awakened to the level of pure consciousness and knows that this world is just another type of dream. When the disciple is able to completely trust the master's senses, that this world is illusion and not his own senses, that give the incomplete pseudo idea that this world is real and is the source of his happiness, then the surrender is total. When approaching the divine or one's master, the ultimate step is one of complete surrender. Stages of surrender. This surrender happens in 3 stages. At the first level, it is an intellectual surrender, the intellectual acceptance of what the master represents and what he means to you. A true seeker reaches this stage when he encounters the real master, Sadguru destined for him. The seeker sees in the master qualities he has been searching for. His questions start dying down, and answers come even before questions happen. Intellectual surrender to the master replaces inadequate questions with adequate doubts. Doubts are not violent like questions, as they do not arise from the root patterns or ego. They arise from a genuine, authentic need to know, to create adequate, complete cognition. Despite his high level of surrender, one does see Arjuna initially in this state of questioning, perhaps as a lesson to us. At the next level, one reaches the state of emotional surrender. From shastras, one moves to stotras. From the head to the heart. It is like coming home when the heart surrenders. One feels a deep connection with the Guru and constantly remembers him. It is impossible to forget him. His memory brings tears to one's eyes, tears of gratitude that are impossible to hide. Sri Ramakrishna says beautifully, when thinking of the divine or your Guru Master, if you have tears streaming down your cheeks, be very sure that this is your last birth. Emotional surrender leads one close to liberation. At the final level is surrender of the senses. One truly realizes Rikesha, master of senses, and gives up one's distorted, incomplete sense of reality and embraces the truth of the absolute reality of Advaita, non-duality, that the Master and every incarnation have expressed. Ultimately, we must move beyond both doubt and faith to completion that creates a deep trust in the Master, recognizing that everything the Master expresses is for our liberation. As Arjuna progresses through the Gita, layers of these incompletions peel off, and he travels into deeper stages of surrender. Arjuna calls Duryodhana evil-minded. This was the pain of contrast of his own state of mind to that of Duryodhana and rest of Kauravas. When one's mind is filled with patterns of greed, lust, envy, and fear, there is a single-minded focus on the potential material benefits. Duryodhana was like an animal, operating out of instinct from his low-level consciousness. Unlike Arjuna, he was not an intelligent man and did not suffer from doubts and guilt. Animals suffer no guilt. They do not consider hunting their prey as something that needs discussion. So it is with Duryodhana. He needs power, and his objectives were to do away with the Pandava princess and usurp the entire kingdom. That's all. When a human behaves the way Duryodhana does. He is in an unconscious space, blindly driven by self-denial patterns. Please understand, when we are driven by root patterns, we don't even know what we do, why we do, why we are making money, why we have married, why we are living nothing. The Kaurava warriors, blindly driven by Duryodhana, did not know why they are fighting, why they want power, and exactly what is going to happen. With such an unconscious, incomplete space, Duryodhana and his allies did not suffer from any doubts. When our root patterns are driving our life, we may believe that we are winning, but we will never be driven to victory. If your enemy is driving you, will he be driving you towards victory? Mired totally in self-denial patterns, these Kaurava warriors followed Duryodhana blindly, unaware that the person they followed was blind himself. Arjuna, on the other hand, is in turmoil. He is driven by Hrikesha, the master of senses, who can control and complete any root pattern. Arjuna's charioteer is Krishna himself, whose very life is a living science of completion. As Krishna brings the chariot to a stop between the two armies, in a metaphoric sense, he brings Arjuna's inner space to a steady state to drive him to completion. With Duryodhana's self-denial root pattern of saying no to life, cloning itself into the manifold Kaurava army of conflicting patterns, even if Duryodhana won any war out of that pattern, he would never achieve satisfaction or completion, because the reason he is fighting for power is to feel secure from his fear. He will feel secured only when he breaks that pattern, not by winning the war. It is the wrong strategy for the wrong reason. Arjuna, unlike Duryodhana, has become aware of his root patterns. He is exposed to his inauthenticities and is working to free himself from their bondage. However, he is not in the zone of light yet. The conflict between Arjuna and Duryodhana is the conflict that all humans face within themselves. A conflict between their possibility and patterns, their deep unconscious desires, the incompletions driven by their root patterns, and the possibility of completion consciousness. Completion is consciousness. Which part wins depends on one's ability to complete and surrender to the superconscious divine or the master Sri Krishna. As long as one is in darkness, one does not miss light. But Arjuna is in the state of a person who has had sight and has now lost it, who was in the light of completion but fell into the darkness of incompletion. Yet only in its own light can a moon even see its dark patches. And so is Arjuna now, seeing his incompletions face to face, and is blessed to have the source of light, Jagat Guru Krishna, to enlighten him. He is an intelligent man, but suddenly wondered whether what he was doing might be wrong and evil. So he is disturbed. Duryodhana, on the other hand, has a mind that is always in darkness. He has never experienced true intelligence or completion. Therefore, words like immoral or non-integrity or inauthenticity, dharma or adharma, would make no sense to him. Arjuna's dilemma. 1.25 to 130. In the presence of Bhishma, Drona, and other rulers of the world, Hrikesha said, Partha, behold all the Kurus who are assembled here. There, Arjuna could see within the armies of both parties his elders, grandfathers, teachers, maternal uncles, cousins, sons, grandsons, and friends, as well as his fathers-in-law and well-wishers. When Arjuna, the son of Kunti, saw all these friends and relatives present there, he was overwhelmed with deep pity and said, Krishna, seeing my friends and relatives present before me, eager to wage war, I feel my limbs trembling, my mouth drying, and my hair standing on end. My bow Gandiva slips from my hands and my skin burns. I'm unable to stand here any longer. I'm forgetting myself and my mind reels. I foresee only evil omens, O killer of the Keshi demon. Krishna parked the chariot between the two armies and said to Arjuna, here are the people who you wish to see. Arjuna wanted to see those who were about to fight him and die, and Krishna, with no mercy at all, showed him that these were Arjuna's near and dear ones. Krishna himself was related to Arjuna. Kunti, Arjuna's mother, also known as Prita, was Krishna's aunt, sister of Krishna's father, Vasudeva. So he addresses Arjuna here as Partha, the son of Prita, emphasizing their relationship. Krishna is also referred to in Gita as Parthasarati, the charioteer of Partha, Arjuna. Assembled in front of Arjuna were compatriots of his father Pandu, grandfathers and great-grandfathers such as Bhishma, his own teachers such as Drona and Kripa, uncles such as Shakuni, brothers and cousins, as all the Kaurava princes were friends and well-wishers. At one time or another, each one of them had been an object of affection and respect to Arjuna. Now they were part of his enemy army. Arjunavisada, root pattern of a thinking man. The expression of Arjuna's dilemma starts here. The theme of Gita is the story of Arjuna's dilemma, his incompletion and its completion by Krishna. As a warrior, as a Kshatriya, Arjuna was used to killing in battle. He was no stranger to death and violence. As long as those who faced him were his enemies, Arjuna had no difficulty in carrying out their execution. However, those in front of him now were his Svayanam, his relatives, people who actually were like his father, grandfathers, uncles, brothers, sons, and grandsons, tied to him with bonds of blood. Many others were his friends, with whom he had previously enjoyed bonds of loyalty. Arjuna's dilemma was not one of nonviolence, ahimsa. As a Kshatriya, this word had no place in his dictionary. His dilemma was one of violence born out of his ego, his identity. He could kill people he did not identify with, but he could not bear to kill those whom he could relate with himself in one way or another. The bonds of family were far stronger than Arjuna had imagined. These bonds were rooted in his ego, and to cut these bonds was to destroy himself. This was Arjuna's dilemma. What follows now is a bunch of fantasies, inauthenticities that Arjuna's mind weaves in an attempt to justify his dilemma. It is what the human mind conjures up time and again as its projection of the unconscious root thought patterns, trying to justify as authentic action. Sanjaya says that Arjuna was overwhelmed with pity. Some translate this as compassion. Compassion, true compassion, which is the hallmark of an enlightened being, is non-discriminatory. It does not differentiate. Please listen. When responsibility expresses through your heart, it is compassion. To the truly compassionate person, the whole world of both living and non-living beings is an extension of his own self. Anything that hurts any object around such a person would hurt him, and he too would feel the pain. However, Arjuna's emotion was discriminatory, inauthentic. He felt pity only because they were his kinsmen, only because he identified with them, not because of his authenticity and responsibility to enrich them, not because he felt that all of them were his own extensions, and so by not fighting them, he would in turn not fight himself. This was not compassion born out of ahimsa, non-violence, but pity born out of himsa, violence. Arjuna's emotions arose from his root pattern, his ego. True compassion arises from a state of integrity and authenticity, the absence of ego, where one's inner and outer identities are aligned and one expresses peak of one's positivity and possibility. It arises from a state of responsibility out of no mind and no thought, where the feelings of I and mine have disappeared and one realizes that one is the source of everything. And so one is responsible for everything. True compassion is a state of completion and bliss, one of true surrender to the universe. Our four great inner powers. Please understand the four spiritual principles of integrity, authenticity, responsibility, and enriching are the four Vedas. Chatur Veda, to experience surrender to the cosmos and to have the power to simply manifest the reality of your choice. Listen, whether you know it or not, whether you believe it or not, you have four giant powers sitting inside you. Though you use these powers every day in your life, you don't use them consciously with a clear intention. Please understand all these powers are great energies, just like electricity or wind power. If you handle them properly, they can shower you with everything you want. But if you don't handle them properly, they will continue to impact your life in negative ways. The powers are related to the four major dimensions of your life: your words, your thinking, your emotions, and your living. When you awaken your peak possibility in each of these dimensions, it becomes a great power and support in your life. Each of the four powers is guided by a spiritual principle known as tattva. The tattva is the key to unlock the corresponding power in you. First spiritual principle is integrity. When you practice integrity, the power of words or Vakshakti will be available to you. Second tattva is authenticity. When you practice authenticity, the power of thinking or Manu Shakti will be open to you. Third tattva is responsibility. The power of feeling or Prema Shakti will be possible when you practice responsibility. And the fourth tattva is enriching. You will have access to the power of living or Atma Shakti the moment you decide to enrich others. The foundation for these tattvas is Purnatva, completion of all the patterns we carry. When we live these spiritual principles and express these four great powers, the individual self merges with the universal self. And true compassion happens out of the space of completion with the cosmic consciousness, from the experience that one is part of that Brahman. Listen, Arjuna's pity arose out of fear, out of losing his identity, his fear of expansion, his root pattern or ego. Arjuna was mortally afraid. He claimed that his throat was parched, his hair was standing on edge, and his divine bow was slipping from his sweaty hands. If one did not know Arjuna better, one would have considered him a coward. Arjuna was no coward. He had no fear for his own physical safety. He was not concerned that he might be injured or that he might die. As a warrior of warriors, these feelings were beneath him. But Arjuna was afraid of breaking social and ethical laws. His values and beliefs, his biomemories, his root thought patterns told him that what he was doing was wrong and unacceptable. So powerful was this feeling that he was reeling, queering, dazed, and unable to think or function. Let's end this part here and continue in the next part. Let's end with the Purna mantra, offering our deepest gratitude to beloved Swamiji. Let's sit straight with the head, neck, and spine in a straight line, the hands to the Anjali Mudra. Om Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Tat Sat Sarvam Bhagavat Shri Nityananda Paramashiva Paruka Panamastu. Om Nityanandam. Thank you everyone for listening. Nityanandam.